Hello there, thanks so much for tuning in. So I'm Tim and this is my Carbon Coach, channel all about allotment life and environmental issues and a little bit of eco-living. So it's been a little while. I did come up here last week to have all the intentions, goodwill in the world to do some filming, but the weather was appalling and today it is absolutely different. It has been beautiful for the past 3 days. I've been stuck inside doing an essay for university, so this is the first time that I've been out in the sunshine. I'm absolutely loving it. I went out with my friend Sophie for our daily exercise, so we went litter picking this morning, so it was really nice to get some fresh air, and I'm up here today with really interesting video, I think. And sorry, I'm just looking at the plot. I haven't seen it in the sunshine for so long and it's amazing. But yeah, I want to do a look at, because I kind of missed my anniversary almost of having the plot. I got it just towards the end of January, and the video that I wanted to make from 3 weeks ago was kind of like a then and now look at how, ooh, doors falling down. Was a look at then and now, how it was when I first took it on, sort of how progress has gone throughout the year and how it looks now. So yeah, that's the video that I'm going to make. Before we get into it, just some usual YouTube business. So don't forget to hit the thumbs up button. You can smash it if you like. I heard that is a thing to do now. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already. That is a massive help. And then yeah, feel free to drop a comment if there's anything in the video that tickles your fancy. I also want to say, I don't know if you can see it on the back there, but huge thank you to a wonderful lady called Rosie who has become a patron of the channel. So I have a Patreon set up, and it's a way that you can support myself to do allotment things, environmental things, litter picking things, all that kind of stuff. So there's links down in the description, and with those intro-y bits out of the way, we'll get on with the meat and two veg of the show. So starting off right here, you can see hopefully behind me a bit of a difference from how the shed was in my last video. I managed to tidy it up, so it'll probably be in next week's video. I'll talk about it, but yeah, I managed to get the polytunnel cover under there, managed to sort out the shelving at the back, so I've actually got a place to put stuff and I've got a place to actually work. So I've got my Charlotte potatoes chitting away there, which is really exciting. And I managed to unpack, yeah, you can just about see it over this shoulder now, the strimmer, the Works strimmer that my wife and family members on her side got for me. So I have got out of the packaging. I've given a little bit of a strim along one of the edges of the plot, and yeah, it's really good. I have very limited knowledge of what a strimmer should do, etc., but it certainly strimmed grass and was a lot of fun. There'll be a more in-depth review in the future, but initial impressions are that it's a great bit of kit. So yeah, that is a treat. So what I'd been meaning to do straight after Christmas was to finish building the raised beds that would finish off this sort of half of the plot, and I've actually managed to do that, thankfully. So it's taken a little bit of an effort, but they went in no problem. So I've now got 4 of the really long raised beds along here, and they're looking brilliant. I still need to grab some compost, some topsoil to just sort of top them out a bit, but they don't need an awful lot to level them up, so that's going to be really good. I'm still working on my plan of what is going to go where, but I have picked up a few things so far from Wilko's, of all places. They've got a really nice selection this year of flowers and plants and seeds and all that kind of goodness, which is really nice. And then in my seed box behind me, I've been collecting a few bits and pieces, so allotment plan video coming very shortly. I don't want to go too hard too early, if that makes sense. There's a lot of pressure on social media and YouTube amongst some allotment channels and sort of social media presences to go hell for leather as early as possible. And I know it's been a tough winter and we've been locked down and everyone's just raring to go and get back to some kind of normality, but there's certain things that need to happen at certain times, obviously, but some things you don't have to rush into it. So if you're like me and you're still learning and needing to take things at a sort of more gentle pace, don't be afraid to just slow down and do things sort of like do one thing one week and then another thing another week, because it all takes time. There isn't any rush. Mother Nature's going to do its thing. If your potatoes get dug up a week later in the summer, then so be it. So that's all I'm going to say on that matter. So I'm going to talk you through then and now of how the plots looked. So via the magic of the editing software, up on screen is the aerial footage that I took from Derek the drone way back in February, and what a difference it looks like. I mean, it's absolutely crazy looking back. When you're in it and sort of up here week in, week out, you kind of take it for granted, the progress that you've made, but boy did it look completely different to how it looks now. Obviously the shed was sort of the one defining feature that has stayed constant through it, and there was a pathway leading from the sort of the roadway, as it were, up towards the shed. However, it was kind of off centre and didn't actually lead to the shed door, which I found a bit weird. There was all kinds of stuff over towards the sort of roadway, but in the other far corner from the shed there was a giant sort of rectangle, raised rectangle, I don't know if you can make it out or not, that looked kind of like their compost bin or a raised bed or something like that. So that was fun to dig out, and those although the top of the sort of the wooden frame of it had been taken out, there were some massive wooden stakes that went down sort of 2 or 3 feet that I ended up having to dig out. Also, I'm not sure if you can make it out, but there were a number of rose bushes all across the plot as well that were needing to be taken care of. So again, plenty of digging going on. And then sort of the other big feature was the big round circle, kind of off centre but relatively middle to the plot, and that was the previous plot owner. Are we owners? Plot supervisor? Plot allotmenteers? Anyway, it was their pond. So I had a gigantic circular pond in the middle of my plot, and that had plastic sheeting in it, it had crockery in it, it had all sorts, and yeah, it was just a bit of an adventure. Sort of, they'd used it as a little bit of a burying site slash dumping ground in the end, it seemed. So definitely had my work cut out from that. I'll put up now, next slide please. We're going to go to sort of like a small sort of halfway progress point where I'd done some work, but it was, yeah, steady going. And then final slide please is what I've just taken today with Derek. So the weather's been kind enough to let me fly my drone, so I was able to take this shot of how it all looks now. So you can see all of the raised beds in their final positions. Like I said earlier, they just need a little bit of filling. You can see that 2 of the herb beds nearest to the shed are occupied with herbs, and I just need to figure out as part of my allotment plan what I'm going to put into the 3rd herb bed as well. The first of the 4 vegetable beds is filled with my alliums, so my onions and garlic, and then the other 3 beds are up for grabs at the moment. There's going to be potatoes, obviously, is going to go into there somewhere, and some other interesting bits and pieces. You can see then next to the shed I've installed a lawn. I've managed to successfully grow grass, one of my many triumphs over the past year, successfully growing some grass with a picnic bench on it, and that outdoor bench area has been absolutely wonderful. I've been able to paint there rather than painting in my shed like I was last year when I was doing all of this sort of blue and white striping for the path edges. Speaking of path edges, path edge is now back in stock in the majority of shops, so I'm going to be slowly picking that up to carry on working along, because as you can see from the aerial shot, the path kind of peters out a bit and then it just turns into a bit of mud. But that kind of back quarter is going to be the project for the next month or so. Unfortunately, I am remaining furloughed, it looks like, until the middle of May, when hospitality can fully reopen. There is a slight chance that I'll be going back in April for doing takeaways and things like that. I'm not holding my breath on that, unfortunately. I say unfortunate because you might think it's wonderful having all this time off, but I really thrive on work and deadlines and being able to be as busy as possible. And I'm not saying I've been lazy by any stretch, I've been really poorly, but the pressure isn't on, and I flounder a bit without pressure to keep me pinned down to tasks. I don't know if that makes sense or if anyone else feels that way. Let me know down in the comments if you're the same. Anyway, back to the sky view, and that final quarter of the plot is going to be where the polytunnel is going. So if you can see where it is now, it's kind of on the grass, and basically it's just going to go sideways to where the brambles and the tarpaulin are, and it's going to go in there right next to the, well, not right next to the grass. I'm going to have about 1/2 metre between the edge of the grass and the start of the polytunnel, so I can put in a bit of a flower border. That I think is going to be my sunflower growing area or something along those lines. So that's going to be pretty exciting. And then I've measured it out, and then on the far side of the polytunnel, kind of where that compost bin is at the moment, and it's backing onto next door's plot, that is going to be my sort of composting and rubbish area, for want of a better word, sort of where I'm storing black bin bags of anything that I need to take off site. Not that I'm planning on having lots of things like that, but that gives me enough space to get down there with a wheelbarrow as well. I've measured that out. I don't have a wheelbarrow. We have communal ones up here on the grounds, so that's super useful. And then I don't know if you can make it out, but on the very end, in between myself and next door, they're reinstating a grass pathway. So that hasn't been there. If you want to flick back to the before shots from last February, then you can see that there wasn't much of a path there anyway. So putting in a proper path to separate all of the plots, that's sort of something that the site likes to have, is well organised and separated plots. So that's what's going on there. That's actually nothing to do with me. The site coordinators, supervisors are looking after that, and they're just waiting to sort of tamp it down with a roller, I think, and then sow some seed in the next sort of month or two, and then all of that sort of shuttering will be gone, and we'll have a nice little path there, which is going to be awesome. So that was looking at a then and now. So what a difference it has made, and it's only when you look at the sort of the two side by side, or flicking between them, that you really realise kind of how far you've come. And I guess that's a metaphor for life, if you want to get philosophical about it all. So yeah, there is that. Something that I've done as well, which is really exciting, and I did this as a Christmas present for my grandma and for my other grandma and granddad, and for my mum and dad as well. And then I made myself sort of the same thing but slightly later, and I'll just grab it from the bookshelf. So I've made myself, I've got mud on it already just now, whoops, a book. So you can get these books made from like Instaprint or things. I can't remember what the company that I used was, but yeah, it's like a little softback, few pages, and then yeah, you can make your own photo book. So I've made one, and at the front, yeah, 2020, the start of the allotment adventure, and then I've just put in photos. So that's what it looked like when I first got it, and if you want to see the videos, there'll be the little linky thing up here if you wanted, that will take you way back then. That's what the shed looked like at the beginning, just sort of melamine cabinets, complete spider's nest. It was awful. It was a total shock to the system to get over. And yeah, so I've like put in the aerial shots there. That was what I was talking about painting all the edging, and now I've got the workbench, picnic bench that I can sort of get to work on. And yeah, it's just a nice way of just showing progress and all the things that I've done and how I've got on with everything. That was wonderful. I can't wait to get back to summer. So that was in May, when my currant bushes started to sort of create some fruits. They weren't ripe back then, but yeah, that was a wonderful, exciting time for me, absolutely. And yeah, just sort of some of the photographs that I've taken of things. So yeah, it was a nice way to sort of look back, and there's all sorts. Obviously it trailed off towards the end of the year, but yeah, still plenty of things around. Like that was in October, I think it was, when my solo dahlia decided to come up. Is it a dahlia? I can't remember. I want to say dahlia because it reminds me of Salvador Dali, but I think that my mum told me off and said that it was a dahlia. So yeah, either or. Anyway, so yeah, that was something that I wanted to do, and I like taking photos. I like spending time up here. So yeah, having that kind of memory to look back on is going to be quite fun, and hopefully I'm going to do the same if I can remember each year that I have it, and create a little mini library, I guess, of sort of progress through the years of how things have gone. And that, alongside kind of like a gardening plan and diary, is a great way to remember when things happen, so I'm not rushing. So I'm going to end the video here. It's been quite a while, despite only having sort of one point to the video, I guess, of showing a then and now. It's been quite nice to just sort of take time and chat about it and think about it, and that's what it's all about up here as well, sort of a bit of mindfulness, I find. So closing out the video, as I started it, with encouraging the smashing of like buttons, the dropping of comments, the subscribing if you haven't already. Subscribing really helps the channel out. We're doing so well, and over 500 subscribers, which is wonderful. If we get to 1,000 subscribers, then that opens up what is called the community tab, and you might have seen this on other channels who have got it, and then that allows me to not only post videos but also post sort of posts, like written posts or photos or polls and things like that onto your YouTube feed. So if you were subscribed to me, you would see my videos pop up when they were released, but you'd also see words and photos. So that's kind of the next step that I'm really aiming for, and allowing me to share a bit more of the journey with you guys. So every subscribe, every like helps. You can also check out my Patreon, just like Rosie has, and help support me in my endeavours. That is really, really appreciated. And to be honest, I do a little happy dance every time someone joins up. So I also want to make a big thank you to everyone else that is a patron of mine and helping me to support me in my dreams of bringing a little piece of environmentalism to Taunton and the wider community via YouTube, social media, etc. So that's all for this week. Take care of yourselves, take care of your plots, and have a fantastic week yourselves. YouTube over here is going to have put up a little circle. You can click on it and it'll pop up with some subscribey bits. Or over here, it's going to recommend a video for you to watch next. So just in case you haven't seen all of my videos, by all means, check that one out. Like I said, take care of yourselves, and I'll catch you all very soon. Cheers.